The message came in at 30:17 p.m. on a Wednesday, while I was reviewing quarterly projections for a client in Manchester. The family group chat lit up: Mum, Dad, Sophie, Mark. The usual name at the top. Sunday roast plans. Except this: what about Sunday? Ruv talked and we think it's best if you stay away for now. That was it. No follow-up bubble. No explanation typing itself into existence. I stared at the words long enough for the screen to dim. Best for who? For what? Stay away from what, exactly? There are moments when something confirms what you've already known for years. It doesn't surprise you. It settles into place. I typed back. Understood. I'll respect that and step away from the family entirely. Take care. I didn't add a question mark. I didn't ask why. I didn't soften it with a heart emoji. I set the phone face down and went back to my spreadsheet. I'd always been the reliable one. The practical sibling. When Sophie and Mark couldn't quite make their deposit for the semi-detached in Disbury, I'd stepped in. V87,000. A guarantor agreement tied to my company's credit line. Not a gift, not exactly a loan either. Just help. The kind of help that gets absorbed into family mythology as we all chipped in. I'd told myself it didn't matter. I was doing well. My consultancy had grown steadily. I didn't need applause. But over time, something subtle shifted. Invitations came later. Decisions were made without me. Jokes about how I was too busy anyway. I became the dependable outsider, useful but peripheral. When Mum fell last winter, I handled the hospital admin. When Dad needed a solicitor for a contract dispute, I arranged it. When Sophie panicked about her mortgage renewal, I took the call at 11 p.m. And now, stay away. No explanation. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I made tea and sat at my desk. Then I opened the folder I hadn't planned to revisit. Guarantor agreement, Halifax Bank. The number sat there plainly: V87,000 exposure. My name. My liability. If I was stepping away, I would step away properly. The bank call was almost dull in its normalcy. Good afternoon. This is Priya speaking. I explained I wished to withdraw as guarantor from an existing mortgage arrangement. There was a pause. The kind that signals a script being consulted. Of course, Mr. Bennett. I'll outline the process. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't immediate. There would be formal notice issued to Sophie and Mark. 30 days to refinance independently or provide alternate security. Once you submit written confirmation, we'll initiate review. Thank you, I said. My voice didn't tremble. Attached the signed form. Closed my laptop. The room was quiet. 4 days later, Sophie called. Not to ask how I was. Not to explain the message. What have you done? Her voice wasn't angry at first, just tight. I've withdrawn my guarantee. You're going to ruin us over a text. I considered that. The framing. I'm respecting what you asked. I said. You said it was best if I stayed away. That doesn't mean financially. There it was. The invisible line. I exhaled slowly. It means entirely. Silence. Then a softer tone. We were just trying to manage tension. You've been distant. Distant. I pictured the hospital corridors. The late night calls. The solicitor meeting. I think this is healthier, I said. For everyone. She hung up before I finished. Mum rang the next day. She said, as if it were both accusation and plea. I know. I replied. Families don't do this. I thought of the group message again. The collective decision without a conversation. Families don't dismiss people either. She didn't have an answer to that. The official letter arrived at their house the following Monday. Bank letterhead. Formal language. Notice of guarantor withdrawal. Authority has a tone. It doesn't shout. It informs. Sophie texted once more. They're saying we have to refinance at current rates. Rates had climbed sharply over the past year. I knew that. I track markets for a living. I'm sure you'll manage. I wrote back, no sarcasm. No warmth either. I felt guilt creep in during quiet moments. I'd helped them buy that house. I'd celebrated in the garden with warm prosecco and cheap paper lanterns. But guilt isn't the same as obligation. They qualified for refinancing. Barely. Higher interest. Tighter margins. It would cost them more monthly, but they would keep the house. The bank confirmed the release 2 weeks later. My name removed. Liability Deo. Exposure none. It was an unceremonious email. Please note you are no longer recorded as guarantor on this account. I read it twice. Not triumphant. Not bitter, just lighter. The family group chat went silent after that. No Sunday roast photos. No passive-aggressive updates. Dad sent one message privately. Hope you're well. I replied, I am. It was true. What surprised me most wasn't their anger. It was how quickly they adjusted. Once the refinancing completed, the urgency evaporated. No apology followed. No retraction of the original message, the exclusion had simply shifted shape. I deleted the group chat thread one evening, while sitting on my balcony overlooking the canal. Boats moved slowly through the water. A couple argued softly across the path. Life continued. I realized something then. I had spent years proving my place through usefulness. Through reliability, through quiet financial backing. But usefulness is not belonging, and belonging that requires subsidy isn't belonging at all. There was no celebration when the C-87,000 detached from my name. No champagne. No dramatic confrontation, just a boundary made real. They asked me to step away. So I did, entirely, and for the first time in a long while. Stepping away felt less like exile, and more like dignity.